change it to match this system. It's not too late. I could still remove that now, because I can still get it out from here. And I can still get at it to put white paint from the inside. So what I'm thinking for now, until I decide what I'm going to do, I'm going to put the white paint in there and fill it up just like I did on this guy. I'm going to just do the same thing. Just reach down there, fill it up kind of with white. And then and the other option is I could try popping that out. My only risk is I don't recall just how big that is. Will it come out? And that's something that I got to think about. So that's the size, roughly the same size as that one. Let me check something here. This is the same, essentially the pilot version of the bottom sensor array here. So it's essentially the same fit. What it does is it just goes a bit further down and doesn't have the little nib there. See, there's a little, the production version, there's actually a little stalk there with a little red tip on the end, which I'm not sure what that is exactly, but anyway, sensor of some sort, I think. Anyway, so the question is, will this come out of the same hole that's filling up? And it's going to be really close. I got to think about that. Because what I'm getting at is I didn't glue that in, so I could actually pop that back out if I pushed enough there. I could pop that out, take it out, remove the white paint, and get that all cleaned up, do the inside painting, and get that back in there. And then it's a much cleaner. I don't have to worry about removing paint while it's in. Okay, as I mentioned, I'm just going to get some paint on that inside bottom. Currently it's painted on the outside white. As I mentioned, I'm going to at least consider removing that to kind of match what I've done with this guy, which is to paint the white on the inside. And so when I paint the Enterprise Gray and I take off my little mask there, it'll be white from the kind of the inside. So nicer, kind of, I think a nicer look. It's going to look kind of clear, but with a white kind of illuminating from the inside, which is more what we want. So I want to have that option here. So I'm just going to, same thing, I already have this white stirred because I just did the other one. I'm just going to kind of duplicate the process. As I mentioned, I kind of cleared this out so I can just get that down there and not brushing it in. I'm actually just going to lay in a little bit of paint this way, so I don't need a lot, just a couple drops. And then just straight down like that and kind of fill it up there. And kind of go around a bit. Kind of like that. And I think so when I look down there, that's looking pretty good. Just gonna go around there. I want to make sure I've got enough white. I actually am going to go back in there and just give it a bit more. To go a little higher. And then pull it back out with my stopper like that. Okay, that time it did kind of go a little higher, which is good. I didn't actually get the other side, which I did want to do. So I'm just going to get it. There, I got it. It's all the way around that I wanted. So now, if you can see down in there, we got a perfect the depth, all the way around that I wanted, and really nice. Worked out really, really good, I think. So what I'm going to do on this guy, just put that away. I actually want to keep this as straight as I can, so I'm actually going to put it on the stand just to keep it as upright, because that paint, I want it to dry uniformly. And so that's what this will help me do here. So let's just get that set up here. That'll keep it close enough to upright and properly positioned in the way that I'm hoping for. Good, that's great. So yeah, you can actually, I think see down in there actually. Yeah. So we'll let that set up. Cover my paint. And then now it gives us an option. If I do end up taking out that, white on the outside, then I'll have this there as an option. And otherwise, if I leave it, then no harm done. So it's great. So we'll let that dry up. So just wanted to do a quick look at the results from applying the couple layers of mask on the underside of the primary hull there. Turned out great. It's really ready for, it's a nice thick coat on there, and we have a very nice line kind of checked along our ridge there, and it seems to be perfect. And so I've already done the sanding around there, so it's really ready for final coat to go on here. And then the only thing that I've got to do is of course, the reduction here. I still have not got to that, but tonight I'll work on that. Just needs to be, as you can feel there, it just needs to be reduced and sanded down just a little bit extra in that area. Just make that a little smoother. This side I think is good. I'm not going to do anything with that side. Looks great. All right, so just circling back, I'd mentioned I was going to do a bit of sanding here, and I have been working on that. As you can see, I've kind of got that reduction happen there where I had a bit of a rise there, and I've kind of actually gone a little bit further along there, just getting it reduced and smoothed out all the way along there. What I've discovered is that if you look carefully there, there's actually a couple of little depressions there, which we don't want. If you notice on this side is pitch clean, so I actually do need just a little bit more fill in there to get that perfect. So just quick update. Paint is done after the second coat. I think it looks really, really good. So that's essentially done. The way around looks good. I have obviously, you can see, inserted the sensor dish there. Now that we're getting a little closer, I can always tape that off if need be. That's a lot of work there to get that gray down in the base and with the sort of gold on the edges. So definitely don't want to do anything that could compromise that. I'll add the dish at the very end. That's an easy insert and just an extra little fiddly breakable pieces that I don't want to add just yet. That'll be something we'll add at the very end. So obviously I'm going to need to do some filling here. That's on the actual Enterprise. Is although it is, it actually does have the ridge in this direction. This thickness is actually there, and we'll certainly preserve that. But this back edge should be smooth here for sure. And even the edges, I mean, should be filled in. It's still gonna drop. I mean, we're still gonna have, obviously there is a depth difference. I'm not filling that in, but it will get rid of the sort of the crack per se. There'll just be a difference in difference. Hi, so a little update here on the painting of the little gray slats. I think they're firing arcs. Not sure what they are exactly, but anyway, they're painted. The inside parts done the same light gray that we saw in various other spots, including on the nacelles, this area in here. So the same color match in there is being used, and that's been applied there. You can see my fancy paint job, or tape job, I'm sorry. So I think it's ready to come off. I haven't actually, obviously I haven't looked at this, so. Straight up. There we go. Beautiful. So that really came out well. And you know, those edges really do look darker. That might need very little. So I have this still blocked off because I'm still had done the painting here. I still need to do a little bit more work. As you know, that seam did not, I didn't get the kind of coverage that should be smooth here, and I didn't really get the coverage there either, so I definitely am revisiting with a bit more of my things. So I thought I'd just give a quick update. I've been working on adding the little bit of shadowing, or the darker gray around the sort of lighter gray or medium gray that we've got on the underside of the primary hull. And you can see I've done this one, and this one's yet to be done. So it's very subtle, but it is a little bit darker on this one than on this one. And I think I'm pretty happy with the results. It doesn't need to be a lot. Remember, I was almost thinking I didn't even need to do anything, but just adding just a little bit more, I think is good. I've been using this guy, which is my AK weathering pencil, actually. Dark gray, and just ever so carefully sharpen it up to a real good point. In fact, I'm going to just sharpen that a little bit more after the little bit I took some of my point off. And then with a really good point, just really essentially just kind of working very, very delicately along the lines here, and then kind of repeatedly doing some repeated passes like this, and then working right away to just remove dust, and then just keep working it along like that. So I thought I'd just try a little bit. I'm not sure how this is going to work working through the magnifying glass. That's what I've been kind of using, but I thought I'd just try a little bit with it there and just see if you happen to be able to see something. We'll see. You might not. This might never see the light of day here, but you can see how we just are gently working the line there. I like to blow it off first and then just come in with the rag. I'll come back and do that again. It takes a couple of times going through it here. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. So you can really see that process. And then what I do is then take my kind of pointy end here and actually just go down. This also just removes a bit of the look of the roughness down in the actual seam, so that it's just a little bit, again, just a little bit cleaner, which is what we're really after here. Yeah, that looks really good. One thing, I'm just gonna, you can, if you haven't applied water on these pencils, you can just use an eraser. So you can see I just had gone just a little bit over, but that, just a little bit of eraser going against. I don't want to erase down the seam there, but just a little bit there, got rid of that. So that's one other nice feature of these particular pencils, is that they give you that sort of ability to be able to do that. And in fact, I'm just going to so I thought I'd see about if we can get a little bit of close up here of some of the, just laying down a little bit of the rust, kind of goldy rust into these rings here. It's just giving a hint, which is exactly what I really wanted. It's very subtle, and in fact, even in some of the photographs, it's pretty subtle, but it's definitely noticeable. So it's nice to get just a little bit of something in there. This is a little more tricky. Getting in under here and staying in the ridge there. See, I went off a couple of times there. So what I'm going to do in those cases... Oh, actually, not a big issue. It actually came off. So, not a big issue there. Yeah, that's just looking so great. I'm absolutely thrilled with that. So this is the one. Sand. In case anybody's wondering, that's the right answer here. I think, personally. It's always a bit of a personal matter, these things, especially when it comes to colors and painting and so forth. Everybody's got to, and some people would be comfortable completely just with laying down some paint. Yeah, really, really happy with that. So, just quick check-in this morning here before I get to work. Maybe a little update. So, as you can see, last night I did go ahead and glue the nacelles into place after making sure I got the alignment. You can notice we did end up with the cracks that we were expecting. I did actually put some glue in the cracks. Didn't fill. I used a very thin glue. This one along the seam, just because this one has very little effect with the paint. But it does give just a little bit. It actually did go where the cracks are tight, certainly holding it in place in that position. So that just adds to the stability of the little notch, the pylon kind of sticking into that notch at this angle and keeping everything proper. I did have to do some adjustments on this side to get it straight. I wanted that sort of perpendicular and to get it to twist so it was at a 90. I did have to do quite a bit of filing on that particular pylon, the stub piece, tab, to get it to rotate enough. And I did also glue along the cracks. So those are ready to do a little bit of fill. So I'll be putting some putty in there. As you can see, that. Hi, so just thought I'd circle back, let you know I did a little bit on the lights back here, the hangar bay lighting system. You can barely see it. I added, as I mentioned, the orange, red, and yellow. If you look carefully under there, you can see the lights, and they are arranged in that sort of triangle. You have to look pretty careful to see that, but it is under there. I'm kind of happy with that. So then I'm just looking now at adding my nacelle caps back on. I think I might as well do that right now. The nacelles had a very good bit of time to set up, so I'm not too worried anymore now about that. So Just gonna. Oops. I feel like that might not be the right one. I know they fit really nicely together, so just gonna try this one and just make sure if there's any chance. Yeah, I think that's good. This one. Same idea here, make sure I've got it right spot. That is. And just put that on there. Good. That looks great. Really, really happy with that. So we're officially done. I do have, actually, I shouldn't say that, I've got my one cleanup spot here to do. I'm still not sure. I still may try doing a little more sanding on that one. Might be enough. And then if I might do a little bit around on here too. That silver is actually just a transfer from the stand. Yeah, that's coming off just with the paper. You can see that. It's a fairly simple transfer material that is not too eager to hang on there, so we can, I think, remove that fairly straightforward. So yeah, I'll just keep working on that. That just takes some patience. Hi guys, welcome to just a quick update where things are at. So you'll notice I have done a bit more painting and cleanup in general on some of the areas in prep for sort of putting on the little bit of gloss coat. You can see it cleaned up a little bit. Remember, we had some issues when we took off the tape on both the nacelles, so those are all cleaned up. And generally kind of all over little bits of, there had been a few areas that kind of popped up, and just generally fixing up everywhere. Cleaned it as well, so it's had a little bit of just with some water kind of to make sure it's fairly clean. And then you'll also notice here one of the big things that I did, I'll lose that. It's my little, I haven't got that glued on yet, on the back side there, on the hanger light. Anyway, the big thing that I've been working on is the weathering here. The front end here. And so I kind of tried to just match with just a very subtle, and you can just barely see, actually, let me get this angle, actually, maybe a little easier to see. Just very, very little bit of sort of the space rust there at the various levels of the dish going back there. So I'm pretty happy with that. I used a combination of couple colors there, dark chipping for wood and copper, and then just blending with my blending brush. And so yeah, generally I'm really pretty happy with that, and how that turned out. It's a fairly subtle thing on most pictures of the Enterprise, but I mean, it's definitely there, especially on the big production model. If you look at Smithsonian work, it's pretty very noticeable. In fact, some of the some of the video from that, you can see the big brush they were actually applying, pulling out here on these seams, coming out this direction with a big brush. So it's not an insignificant amount of coloring in there, but again, at this scale, I don't want to overwhelm it. In much the same way that I've got my rings, that you gotta look pretty much straight on them to see that sort of that goldy kind of rust. It's not really a rust, that one's actually more golden color than this one.